Coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline, we take you to Rome to see how the Abraham Accords continue to foster cultural exchange and boost economies in the Middle East. Plus, America's second gentleman speaks out against anti-Semitism. And we'll see how Israel is helping feed the world through innovative agriculture. And one of the world's oldest churches is now looking better than ever. All this and more on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell, coming to you early in the morning from the streets of Rome. We're here to cover a first-of-its-kind meeting called the Abraham Accords Global Leadership Summit. I sat down with its host, Danny Danone, former Israeli ambassador to the UN, about why this event is so significant. Ambassador Danone, great to be with you once again.
Great to be here in Rome.
Tell us, what is the Abraham Accords Global Leadership Summit?
It's an amazing event where we have dozens of leaders from all around the world coming together to learn from us, the countries in the region who achieved peace, how we did it, and what we can do to help them. What we will see in this conference is an amazing coexistence of different religions, but we have the same values. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the Abrahamic Accords, how come we were able to forge such a strong bond? It all goes to the core values. We have respect for our tradition, respect for the values of family. And when we look at the Abrahamic values, it brings us here, and we're going to share those values with other nations of the world.
How significant are the Abraham Accords, and what impact have they had on the region?
Look what happened in only 2 years. The amount of cooperation is above all expectations. The number of Israelis traveling to the UAE, trade, culture, you name it. We are very proud of it, and I'm optimistic that in the near future we will see more countries joining the Abraham Accord, especially now when we have a new government, when the Likud-led government will take control in a few days. We will see that we will be able to expand the accords.
So the idea here is to expand the influence of the Abraham Accords to nations around the world?
Absolutely. And also, we are very active on the bilateral arena, but we can also take it to the multilateral arena. I will give you an example. My colleagues from the UAE, they care a lot about the issue of food security, and they want to invest today in Africa to build agricultural projects so they will have food security in the UAE. And together with the technology of Israel, we can build great things that will support African nations, and we have representatives here with us in the conference, and it will be a win-win situation.
You also talk about economic peace. Why is that so important?
Many times when people spoke in the past about the region, the Middle East, it was a cause for problems, a headache. And look what happened today. People see the benefits, investments. You can come invest in Israel, you can invest in the Gulf countries, we can do things jointly with other nations. So all of a sudden, you look at the region and you look at the possibilities, the options to see prosperity coming from the region.
As historic and positive as the Abraham Accords have been, there are enemies that don't like the Abraham Accords. How do you address the fact that there are nations here, well, specifically in the Middle East, Iran namely, that are opposed to the Abraham Accords?
So my answer to them is more collaboration with our allies, more respect to different religion. And I think when we bring those values to the center stage, that is the answer to hate. When we see anti-Semitism today all over the world, the answer is what we are doing here, visiting mosques, going to the Vatican, speaking with different rabbis, and we prove that we can work together, and we will be stronger than the evil forces coming from Tehran.
And how does this help Israel and the combat against anti-Semitism around the world?
We bring it up. We're going to have discussions about this issue. We're going to have amazing scholars and experts that will deal with this issue, and we will communicate and educate others how to deal with hate.
Final question, Ambassador. What goals do you have coming out of this summit?
First, it's the first time since we signed the accord, and I was very instrumental in drafting the agreement. And I'm very proud to look at the fruits of the agreement, and today to see so many leaders coming from all parts of the world to celebrate with us, to learn from us. I think we can do more. And my personal goal is to have more countries, and we have a few good candidates for this coming year.
Ambassador Danone, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Back in Washington, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are putting pressure on the White House to do more about the rise of anti-Semitism. Abigail Robertson has that story.
As the first Jewish person married to a president or vice president, the growing problem of anti-Semitism is deeply personal to Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, and he says everyone must stand against it.
There's an epidemic of hate facing our country.
Emhoff says the roundtable is only the beginning of the conversation.
Let me be clear. Words matter. People are no longer saying the quiet parts out loud. They are literally screaming them. But right now, it's right in our face. What's happening now is it's visceral, it's real.
According to a 2021 Pew Research poll, more than 9 in 10 U.S. Jews surveyed claim there is at least some anti-Semitism in America, and 3/4 believe there is more anti-Semitism now than 5 years ago. Globally, a 2018 CNN poll revealed 1 in 20 Europeans said they'd never heard of the Holocaust. Of those who have, 1/3 indicated they believe the Jewish people used the Holocaust to advance their position or to achieve certain goals, and 28% responded Jewish people have too much influence over global finance and business.
The American Jewry is a little over 2% of the American population, and we are the targets of 63% of all religious-based hate crimes in the United States.
Rabbi Abraham Cooper tells CBN News there's been a recent explosion of anti-Jewish hatred in the U.S. coming from influential people like the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, and he warns words matter.
We're already a community that spends a lot of its resources to secure the safety of our Jewish schools, of simply walking to synagogue on the Sabbath. You coordinate with the local PD.
And he says he welcomes the conversation hosted by Emhoff, but thinks Democratic leadership needs to do more.
I also still await action by the Democratic leadership against members of the squad who have, from the congressional bully pulpit, expressed anti-Semitism and paid no price whatsoever for it.
Leaders at the White House roundtable claim that for far too long, people have failed to take anti-Semitism seriously, and added that the time to act to curtail the surge is now, because later will be too late. Reporting from the White House, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Coming up, how Israel is working with countries across the Middle East to feed the world.
Personally believe that food has to be tasty. If it's not tasty, it's inadequate. We can talk about different things that we can do and how we want to change the world. It's all fine, but no one will buy that produce as long as it's not tasty.
Water and fish are powerful symbols found throughout the Bible, and now more important than ever, given the world's food security. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl got a behind-the-scenes look at agriculture and how it can address the world's food security.
This is spirulina, an algae that grows in both fresh and salt water. It's also one of the world's most popular supplements, full of nutrients and antioxidants.
Basically what we do is we convert this solar energy into the best and ultimate protein you can find on Earth.
Lior Shalev helped start Simply Good, a company helping expand the field of aquaculture, a key priority for Israel.
We don't need a lot of electricity, we don't need a lot of water, we don't need a lot of anything actually, okay? And what we grow is a bacteria called spirulina.
Aquaculture is a field that produces food and actually animal protein in case of fish or shrimp, with the lowest ecological price.
Noam Moses heads this department for the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development.
It takes almost very little area, if at all. It doesn't take fresh water. It produces very low CO2 and consumes very little energy compared to other animal source protein.
This focus helped lead to the International Summit on Sea and Desert Food Technologies. Its goal is to gather some of the world's best minds to promote cooperation and innovation in aquaculture and desert agriculture as a way to address food security. Israel already works with Jordan, Egypt, Morocco, and the UAE on expanding this technology, and also expanded the group by signing an agreement with Bahrain during the summit.
and we hope to be the hub of the Mediterranean and the Middle East for innovation and a sustainable solution for this sector.
That's what led Simply Good to pursue becoming the first commercial producer of fresh spirulina as a good source.
This is what's left of a coconut spirulina popsicle, and despite its green color, it's actually quite tasty. It's good.
Firstly, believe that food has to be tasty. If it's not tasty, it's inadequate. We can talk about different things that we can do and how we want to change the world. It's all fine, but no one will buy that produce as long as it's not tasty. Secondary, it has to be very good for you. Thirdly, we believe that every single food has to be good for the planet, not only for people.
At Hebrew University's Tel Aviv campus, Professor Lior David heads research at an experimental fish farm where new lines of fish are being created to increase sustainability.
But what we're trying to do also for aquaculture, and you can see it here, is to reduce our environmental footprint, to produce more food while destroying or while affecting less the environment, reducing the environmental consequences.
Vertical Field is a company developing technologies for urban farming, growing produce in any indoor or outdoor urban space.
We grow our crops attached to soil on a plug of soil, which gives us several advantages. First of all, it's as similar as possible to real nature. We do enjoy different advantages. Extended shelf life would be one of them. The important thing is that within our environment, our closed, controlled environment, you will not see any chemicals or any pesticides at all in the process.
This vertical urban farm approach can grow more than 200 types of crops in a grocery store parking lot or other urban setting.
You will see like a cluster, a farm of farms in a distribution center within the urban area, so still eliminating 90% of the logistics involved, but providing local, healthy daily produce.
Ronan Radel says this idea would especially benefit Northern Europe, Canada, and the Emirates, which all need solutions like this and are interested in Vertical Field. Dubai currently has the largest vertical farm in the world. Dubbed Eco-1, the 333,000 square foot facility grows lettuce, arugula, spinach, and mixed greens. The U.S. and Austria also have vertical farms they are trying out. So whether it's the desert or the sea, Israel is aiming to be a world leader in feeding the world. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Rehovot and Tel Mond, Israel.
Up next, we'll visit one of the oldest churches in the world and see how this ancient treasure is now getting some extra TLC and restoration. A new report says that more than 2 million visitors came to Israel this year, and one of the main destinations is Bethlehem, where one of the world's first churches is undergoing major renovations. Commissioned by the Roman Emperor Constantine at the request of his mother Helena, the Church of the Nativity is built over the place where many believe Jesus was born.
Whenever anybody comes from all over the world, they have to taste and to feel the place where actually Jesus was born here, as to give the people the peace and love.
The Church of the Nativity was built about 1,700 years ago. Since then, it's been destroyed and rebuilt a number of times. The most recent renovation began in 2013.
The 4th century church was built there. It was octagonal in shape, and when it was rebuilt, because it did not have earth-moving equipment, they built on top of it. So you have like a little over 2 feet of change in elevation.
Mazen Karam is CEO of the Bethlehem Development Foundation. Its goal is to raise funds for the renewal of Bethlehem by providing a sustainable life for residents while making the city attractive for visitors. The work started with upgrading Manger Square, then it moved on to the Church of the Nativity. There, the very leaky roof was fixed and the windows.
The original is not here anymore. They replaced them with new windows.
The wall mosaics added to the church more than 850 years ago, as well as the original floor mosaics, desperately needed repair.
11% of the mosaic exists. the rest was lost. So they cleaned up all the mosaic. It was very dirty and soot and debris, and they cleaned it.
In the process came a surprise.
They discovered the third angel. The third angel was completely covered with plastics.
To help raise money, they also created Adopt a Column to refurbish the church's 50 columns at a cost of about $50,000 each. Others, like art conservator Andreas Miaulis from the Greek company Artis, are working to restore the area by the altar.
We try to bring everything back to the beginning before it damaged over the time.
This part of the church is around 250 years old.
This is a very good example because you can see the before and after result. As you can see, all these really dark areas are a result of years and years of residual of soot from candles as well as human fat, because the majority of the people, they touch everything, so they leave a lot of little oils. We clean it, we restore it, and then where it's missing gold leaves, we try to put it back on again and resurrect it in a way that it once was.
Karam says renovations are conducted project by project based on available funds. The Catholic, Greek Orthodox, and Armenian denominations share guardianship over the church.
Since a long time, we didn't have any restorations, so that's the best thing that is doing now.
They're great because church needs to renovate it, and not only physically, also we have to be renovate ourselves. We have to be renewed spiritually and be educated about Lord's commandments.
Father Isa Talgieh and Very Reverend Father Asbed Badian say 2 years of COVID keeping away international visitors has been rough, although they have hope for the future.
Even if there are no tourists, no people, still we have prayers, we have services going on. Day by day, the church is open. The local people comes to visit, to pray. Actually, COVID-19 teaches us how to be patient, to have more faith of God, to trust God, that He's standing by us day by day.
I pray that may God really remove all these difficulties, the life will come back normally and regularly, and we'll restart also a communal prayer together, praising the Lord and thanking Him for all the gifts He has given us and sharing His gifts together.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Church of the Nativity, Bethlehem. Coming up, a place where people learn all about the life in Israel's seas and waterways and how to protect them.
We will deal only with the Med Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, a little bit of the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea.
Thank you for watching Jerusalem Dateline. We're committed to providing you with unbiased reporting from the Holy Land. Through weekly broadcasts, podcasts, and online media, our vision is to reach millions around the globe with the true story of what's happening in Israel and the Middle East, all from a biblical and prophetic perspective. This is a big vision and is only made possible by the generous support of people like you.
Call us toll-free at 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/Jerusalem Dateline and make a donation that will help spread the light of truth about Israel throughout the world.
As visitors return to Israel after the COVID pandemic, they can visit some amazing places like the aquarium in Jerusalem. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us that story.
This tunnel under the Mediterranean Sea exhibit is bound to be one of the main attractions at the new Gottesman Family Israel Aquarium, Jerusalem. The tunnel is part of a 400,000-gallon tank at the aquarium, which is part of Jerusalem's Biblical Zoo. It will hold sharks and other fish from the Mediterranean Sea.
We are addressing and emphasize only one issue, the local habitats. We will deal only with the Med Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, little bit of the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea.
Biblical Zoo and Israel Aquarium CEO Shai Doron said one of the main thrusts is to raise awareness about wildlife habitat preservation in the sea.
Not only to look what the sea can give us to us, fishing, desalination, gas drilling, oil, transportation, security. We need to start as in Israelis and tourists from all over the world to start to understand that the sea, the ocean, is a habitat.
The aquarium aims to have something for everyone, like this interactive pop-up. It puts you right in the middle of the Red Sea coral reef, surrounded by clownfish.
In here, wanted to address some zoom-in phenomena, like the fact that we have rays in the Med Sea.
In other places, visitors have to search for the treasures.
It's, again, part of, the new trend of visiting zoos and aquariums. Not everything you see immediately. It's discovering process.
In a pre-opening tour, CBN News was given a behind-the-scenes look at the core of the aquarium, the Breeding, Research, and Quarantine Center.
We are above the big med tank. This is the access for the aquarists, for the divers, to come and to take the daily walk.
The path ends at what's called the Commitment Room. There, visitors are urged to pledge to protect sea life by promising not to drive 4x4s along the shore and not to take seashells or bring plastic bags to the beach.
When we are finding a shark or a whale or sea turtles dead, we open the stomach, we see it full of plastic bags. Why plastic bags? It's not tasty, but those creatures think that those are plastic bags are jellyfish.
Even though there are great aquariums around the world, Doron says this one has something special.
The view of Jerusalem Hill is part of the experience. This view is unique only to Jerusalem.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, the Israel Aquarium, Jerusalem.
Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can also access CBN content through our CBN and CBN apps. And don't forget to sign up for our email blast so you can continue to receive all of our exciting CBN content. I'm Chris Mitchell, reporting from the streets of Rome. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.